So I wanted to do an update to my Thrustmaster video that I put out last year, because I have just altered my approach in a few different areas, and I also believe CIG might have relabeled the throttle and acceleration limiter in the settings menu, which is one of the common areas that people start searching for whenever they're trying to troubleshoot their peripherals with the game. So I'll go through this stuff that I did last time, some of the same stuff, but I'll just try to cover it pretty quickly because I recognize that, you know, pitch and roll and stuff like that are just the areas that people have probably the least trouble with. So we'll go through it still, but we'll try to blast through till we get to the more interesting or more opinionated components of my approach. So let's just start where we did last time with the stick, and let's just get into it. Okay, so on the y-axis I have pitch, up and down, and then the x-axis I have roll, left and right, and then yaw is on twist, left and right. On the main trigger right here, I've got weapon group 1, and then on this button to the left, the top hat, I have weapon group 2, so I can fire both of those pretty easily with just my thumb and my pointer finger. This button right here, I have acquire missile lock, which is a tap, and then release missile, or launch missile, which is hold on the top hat, up and down. Lord, what was that? At any rate, on the top hat, I have up and down will cycle my missile types. And then right will deploy a decoy, countermeasure. Let's see if we can see that again. Right, okay. And then left will deploy noise. Perfect. Then the button to the right of the hat will release any missile locks that I have. Okay, so at the base of the stick, on the right side, I have increased power priority to thrusters, shields, or weapons, and then I can reset that with the far button over here. From there, I have exit seat, and then emergency exit seat. On the left side then, we've got flight ready for the big button, and then ship power, and then power to engines. On the top row, we have open doors, closed doors, and then lock and unlock toggle on the far end. For the slider at the base of the stick, I use that for my mining laser power. Okay, so my configuration for the throttle is probably where I'll have the biggest departure from kind of what I've seen others do. But let me walk you through it. Starting at the top hat right here, we have forward and back, which is, I don't have any enemies around me right now, but it cycles enemy targets. And then forward and back on the next hat down will cycle friendly targets. Up and down on that same hat will cycle all targets in case one of the other two doesn't get what I need for some reason. So then the next hat down, we've got forward, which activates and deactivates scanning mode. Back will do the same for G-Safe. Up will toggle VTOL, which I'm in a Saber right now. I'm not in a ship that has VTOL, but that's what that does. And then down will retract and deploy your landing gear. The orange button at the very bottom is how I control my quantum drive. So tap will spool it, and then once you've calibrated and aligned to a position or to a place where you can quantum, hold it to activate. Okay, so on the back side of the throttle, starting with the analog stick, pushing forward will thrust forward. This is useful for when I'm not in cruise control. If I'm landing or something and I just need to finesse myself into a spot, it's really useful for that. Back is then reverse thrust, and then side to side will be your side to side thrust. For this little handy button right here, I pull up on it to activate cruise control, and then I push down to activate afterburner. So it creates a nice little combo. I can either activate cruise control really quickly and then afterburn to get up to speed, or I can turn it off and afterburn to space brake. Pretty nice. From there, we've got ship lights on the first orange button, and then decoupled on the last orange button. Cool. And then you probably noticed that my throttle will control my speed limiter, which this is probably a good time to go into the settings menu and look at those inversion settings to see if CIG actually did relabel those like I think they did. But before we do, the only other component that we need to mention is our acceleration limiter over here. So This will control the amount of thrust that I can give my engines, and then this will control the top speed that the ship will be allowed to go. I don't actually have anything bound to these paddles right here. A lot of people use these for yaw, so if that's comfortable for you, then maybe, you know, consider using that for that purpose, but I actually have them unbound, so that is what it is. Alright, so let's check out these inversion settings. Go to controls, and then down here at the bottom right, you want to mouse over to the Hotas profile that's associated with the throttle. It will split them up into two different groups. So you'll have Hotas 1, which is typically your stick, and then Hotas 2, which is typically your throttle. So you want to make sure you're on Hotas 2 before you do this. The first drop down, or the first collapsed accordion here, is inversion settings. Open that up, and then we're going to go to flight. So we want to go to flight movement, and then we're looking for velocity limiter. Sorry, absolute. Velocity limiter absolute and acceleration limiter absolute. This is just what I do. So if you have this set to the defaults, so both should be no for the defaults, we can go back and we can see that now our throttle is inverted. So if that's weird for you, which it is for me, I don't like that, then you're going to want to go to the settings menu and change that, and we'll go back there. One thing I've always noticed, though, is that the acceleration limiter, not the velocity, but the acceleration limiter, typically is in the correct orientation. So again, that's totally up to you. You just do what you need to. But to fix this, options, controls, arrow over to Hotas 2, inversion settings, flight movement, and then you're looking for the velocity limiter absolute. So I'm going to switch this to yes, go back, and now forward and back matches what I would expect to on screen. Okay, but there's also another component that I didn't tell you about on the first hat here that's on the side of the throttle. And the reason I didn't is because it's concerned with movement. It's the same hat that has forward and back enemy target cycling bound to it. The up and the down on that hat is strafe up and down. So this is a big difference from my first Thrustmaster video, because I originally had thrust up and down bound to the top hat on the stick. Problem is I always noticed that when I was in combat and I needed to maneuver up and down, I'd have to take my thumb off of my second fire group to maneuver. So then I only had one fire group to play with, and that kind of sucks. So moved it over here so that I can still shoot both of my weapon groups and maneuver with both, you know, this finger and this thumb however I need to. Alright, so just wanted to get a shot of that top hat that I was talking about regarding the movement. So up, again, we'll strafe up, and then down on that same hat, we'll strafe down. You know, that's pretty much the gist of it. I've pretty much covered everything, so why don't we just get into some combat and see if we can put it all together and have some fun. You better spawn for me. I'm gonna be pissed if this thing doesn't spawn. Yeah, I'll maybe just have to wait a second. Let's just give it the benefit of the doubt, right? It'll show up. Just give it a second. It's just a little late. It's okay though. Maybe. Hopefully. Come on. Just want to do some combat. Like, I could do this one, but it's gonna make me travel halfway across the solar system to get to it. I'm sitting here. I believe it will spawn. Yes. All right. There we go. Now we're in business. I can still have the usual problem of not being able to see anything when your UI is hovering over a planet. That's okay though. We'll deal with it. See if we can take this first guy out with no missiles. Should be pretty easy in a saber, especially when they're stupid right now. Come on now. That was a little too easy, probably. Let's, where's the other guy here? Oh, someone should be. Do I have a lock? I don't understand. So, I need to get farther away. That's nice that it tells you now, like, what the problem is. locked? I don't understand. There we go. Alright. New sound effects are kind of tricky. Yeah, alright. See, you know, it's just like easy mode in the Saber. Was that too easy? Yeah, probably. Alright, maybe we do a little flyby at New Babbage. How about that? Get some views, huh? We'll just take a lap around the city. Why not? See if we can not kill ourselves here. It's a really dangerous angle when you're trying to go under a bridge. Make it? Uh-oh. Oh no! Oh no, no, no! Well, I suppose that was bound to happen. Well, you get the idea anyways.